Welcome, Dippankar. Great to have you on this interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
No, really, pleasure is ours, and love to hear your thoughts about entrepreneurship. And I do have some specific questions about your journey that you've had so far. So, you know, let's start with the uh, you mentioned to me early on that this venture that you are in, you're running it for last 5 years. And obviously, it's a growing venture. So, quick question: what do you attribute your growth to in this venture? What really stands out for you? Why and how you've been able to scale up?
I think the most important part for any consumer business is staying focused on the consumer and understanding what they need. And you need to really have a kind of, a great product. So I think, the most of your effort should get into building a great product and, which is differentiated and which actually kind of cuts the need of the customer. I think that's what we have been focusing on. We are being a bootstrap company. It's not other parties, obviously, how do you acquire customers?
Yeah.
And I truly believe that, I think once you have, and what we have seen in our case, if you have great product and you have great customer relationship, and then, your customers are going to get the next customer. So I think, a lot of our business actually come from referral. And I think this is what I've seen in my retail, journey earlier also. I think about 60-70% of your business come from your word of mouth. And that had been our experience so far.
Great. So, really building on customer relationships, number one, and obviously providing and really understanding the customer need, which ensures that there is word of mouth that sort of continues to fuel your business and growth.
And, continuously kind of work on your product and service capability so that, you are always, not only giving the services, but you are, product and service both together, you are actually improving it because, with time.
So I'll be curious to understand product. I understand very well. What would you do in retail and with respect to customer service? What would you do different, or what did you try different that sort of really resonated with your customers?
See, I'll tell you that, we operate in a, category which is very sensitive. It's a main food category, fish and seafood.
Yeah.
So people don't really kind of take a lot of risk in doing that because, just imagine that, you ordered or you got some fish and you had a plan of having a fish curry or something like that at home. And then you find that either that urgent didn't go, or, or you didn't receive it, or it was bad. Right. So, you end up kind of instead of the fish curry, you have the anda curry. So, which is obviously a disaster. So just think about that. So I think what's important is to give customers access to, so the people are anxious, right? So what they do is, first time they try on online, they would need to be sure that is there a phone number to kind of really look at. So as even with and we possibly are the only, the online retailer who started with a call center and a customer service team, so that, if anything, so there is somebody on the other side of phone who's there to kind of answer your queries that when my product is coming in, and if there is a delay, and then somebody can reach out and so on. So we had set up a customer service. We realized that people need to speak. So let's go back to the current, how people are buying their fish. They go to a fish market.
Yeah.
Now there is a conversation which happens between the fish mala and the customer, and which basically after that the sales happen. This guy said,
Right.
okay, ठीक है, and आपका अगर खराब है, so basically आप, बता देना, give me a call, I'll refund and so on. So that's basically is what we wanted to replicate. One is, we build the great product, give them a kind of opportunity to interact with the customers, whether it is during the purchase as well as, post purchase, so that you become like almost close to that, plus the convenience of getting it at home. So customer service and being responsive, we set some rules in the business. We say that, there are sundown rule, which I learned from Walmart. That, anything problem that comes to by sundown, either you should have a resolution, or at least you should get back to the individual and say that I'm going to come back tomorrow or day after tomorrow and I'm give you a solution.
Brilliant.
Third thing what we did was that, because, we say that, this is one category where people, as I said, that sensitive, they don't want to kind of take risk. We said, and we possibly are the only player in this field who offer 100% no question asked refund. So we have baked that, yes, there are refunds, but we have baked that into our business model so that it's like, if you bought a 3,000 worth of fish
Yeah.
and you found it to be spoiled, you just give us a call or a kind of, send us a message that, the fish was bad. We possibly will ask you to, just share the image or some of the details so that we can correct that internally. But you will get the money back or you will get a refund. So these are, three things we did. We did a customer service function where people can call to us, So we put some rules of customer service where people are kind of listened to and they are addressed quickly. And the third thing we talked about, as a company, we put a policy of, no question as 100% refund, and we bake that into our business model so that we are kind of not losing money, if there is a refund.
Great. I think those are the three things that stand out, and I love the thought and the plan that you put in place. That end of the day, you need to resolve and get back to the customer positively. Even if it is not resolved, at least a timeline is given to the customer. I love that thought, because I'm sure this is what holds you in good stead in terms of getting repeat orders and getting more and more customers added to your. Quick question. Let me change tracks, Dippankar. How many people do you employ currently in your organization?
It's about 120 people we have.
120 people. So, you've been on both sides of the table, right? Been an employee early on in your career, and now as an employer, as an entrepreneur. What are the biggest learnings that you've had as an employer since you've started this venture?
The first level is basically, the first level, we work with, as I said, that 120 is our workforce, but actually we have another 20, 30 people who are not on our payroll, but they work for us exclusively, especially on the supply side. So the numbers are bigger. But coming back to your question, I would say that, you hire people for their attitude, right? So, that is what kind of, I follow very strictly, one of these, the Southwest Airlines principle that, the three things that they do. One is, recruit people for their attitude, hire for attitude, teach them the job, and promote right leaders. And I follow that as a kind of, to the extent possible. So get people, it's difficult to assess, the attitude, but you will get to know that the attitude of the individual in, I think, first 7-10 days time. And then you need to be really quick to decide that whether, this guy, so attitude cannot be changed. And I have not seen that in this last 20, 30 years of, and you cannot change people. And you need to work with them. So you need to figure out that, if this guy is, not the right attitude or you have done a wrong recruitment, you need to do the correction quickly. That is what I kind of, try to practice and then teach them the job. And I think, that is I would say the big thing. Because you will assume that somebody will come in new to your organization, he will know everything, and he will jump in and start delivering. Doesn't happen. I mean, you have to kind of, teach them like a toddler, give them small pieces, support them. And in Bharti Walmart, we used to follow this, a principle called that, my job is to make my team successful. So I think, the second part, which is like teaching them the job, is like, you are setting somebody, are you setting somebody for success or are you setting somebody for failure?
Yeah.
And if you are not setting anybody for success, you definitely will set that individual for failure by 99%.
Correct.
And then the third thing is that, so I think you need to work closely, and which is like, either through a process or because, you are deeply into the business, you will know that, out of the 10 people that you have recruited or got on board, not everybody is same. So you need to quickly identify these, the right kind of leaders or the next level guys. And then you need to give them the career path, which is different than the others. It's like the listers in HLL and so on. That is what we do. And we still have some of our team members who joined as a delivery team leader and who's now basically is almost like a kind of earning 4 times, 5 times of their salary, and they are being a great asset. So we need to have that, process and eye for identify the later, which actually will make your organization kind of growing and sustainable.
Brilliant. Competency-based hiring, attitude hiring, really, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs who will ultimately hear this interview should really pick this piece up from you, because skills are trainable, as you rightly said. You can train people on their skills. A lot of times, what I've noticed is employers sort of go for the skills, past experience, rather than worrying about the competency and the attitude, because it's the attitude and competency that really matters. I also love the thought about merit, and sort of really identifying those quality hires and then pushing them up.
One more point I would like to make, especially in the context of small business and the startup,
Yeah.
on the recruitment. I mean, try not to hire people from organizations who are bigger than you. Which is what, this is a mistake which I had done last year. It's basically I brought in a kind of lot of folks from my past employer, from Bharti Walmart. They were good people. They were, but I think when it came to, our organization, they needed a lot of people to support them. They were slow in their response. They were not really kind of had that kind of ownership. And it's like basically getting an US army in Afghanistan, So basically, it was a disaster. So I ended up losing a loads of money. And maybe, they would have delivered in 2-3 years time. And by that time I would have been bankrupt, and I almost am right now. But anyway, so I would say that recruit people who are kind of, younger, recruit larger number of people, break down your operation into small pieces so that you can handle with kind of, lesser capability, but do not have, do not make a kind of very large organization, 1,000 crore, 10,000 crore organization when you are at 10 crore organization. Recruit people from organizations smaller than yours.
Brilliant. And that's a good one, because at times, de-learning is more costly than, letting people come to get things going. Absolutely bang on there. So great going, Dippankar. Let's talk a little bit about now, what are your challenges in continuing on the growth path that you are? What do you anticipate as something that could possibly hold you back, right? The great thing is that India right now is at the right spot. That's what all economists say. That's what we also feel. But what do you think could be better, that you could all be on a, I would say, let me say, put it differently, on a still faster growth road?
I think there are two pieces. Both are resources. One is and both they are connected. One resource is money. I think, I looked at, the first questions, I would love to kind of come to that, what would I done differently? But I'll come to that, when you're ready with that question.
Yeah.
But I would think that, the resources, which is in terms of people and money. So you can, so when you are starting a business, you are actually fighting with an established competition, right? So they don't care. As a customer, I don't care about whether you're a startup or a kind of, or a new company, because I need my stuff, as I'm getting it, and I need it better than that, right?
Yeah.
So then, and that can be handled only when, you have resources, which is in terms of fund and in terms of people, and both are related. Because, and you create a brand when the delivery is consistent, right? So because when you don't have, the right kind of people with you, the team is not there, so the consistency will not come. I think the bigger challenge for me right now is basically to build a team who can deliver consistently, and who can basically think like me and have that ownership. I mean, it's a kind of, there are some people, even if I get like 10% of my team members who has got the same ownership as me, and which obviously, I have the structures of kind of doing, giving them the stocks and stuff like that, but not that, people do appreciate in this part of the world as much as people understand ESOP and equity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the people challenge is the biggest challenge, is what I would put it, and the fund. And as you know that, it's basically, as much as this country is, and I think any country for that matter, the financial support to small, medium businesses or small scale businesses is very poor. The bank will give money only to the guys who's got loads of money.
Correct.
So you will get money. Yeah.
And you have history to show on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
Correct. But I think what you brought out was very right. I think if you can have employees who have the ownership, it sort of it changes things.
Yeah.
And also you brought about the fact, and that's what we also talk about at Action Coach is, great customer service comes from two things: delivering consistently, and making it easy for the customer to buy. If you put those two things together, I guess sort of it just works very well. So great. So let me ask, and this is the question that you were alluding to, and I'll ask that question. If you were to start this business from square one, what would Dippankar do differently today, 5 years down the road, saying, okay, this is what I would have changed?
I started this business as a single entrepreneur, so single founder.
Yeah.
So I would, if I restart this business, I would definitely start with at least 2 more founders, if not 3. So that will be the first correction. Somebody will be good in operations, somebody will be like kind of good in finance, and somebody will be good in. So I think it becomes really overwhelming for one single founder to kind of manage this growth and all the challenges you have.
Yeah.
And you may think that that okay, I will get my team, and who will become that 1, 2, and 3, the co-founders, but that will never be. Firstly, they will never be like your co-founder, because without the skin in the game. And plus, if you want to get that level of caliber, it will cost you so much of money that it's a non-starter, right?
Correct.
So I would say, one, you start with 3 or 4 co-founders who come with various skills. Definitely, you will need one founder who's got skill of raising money. So sometimes I think the raising money needs different kind of tact and kind of skills and all that. Have them on board. Like some of my competitions, they have been raising money significantly faster than that. So bring that skill in one of the co-founders. The second thing what I would do is that I have raised about $2 million through friends and family.